Cap. Hi, I'm glad you're here. Whenever this reading may find you, and anybody who was drawn to this reading, even if you do not strongly identify with Capricorn energy, there's something here for you, perhaps. Let's go in because the cards are chomping at the bit. There's so much coming out already and we haven't even supposedly begun. So I'm starting off by just tracing the cap symbol over and over and over again, and I start realizing that I'm drawing these frayed ends, and I wrote frayed edges or frayed ends, and I'm thinking, okay, is Capricorn sort of like fried at the ends, you know, like if you think of like split ends of your hair, it's because it's dried, it's tired, it needs like hydration and TLC. Maybe even a little bit of a haircut. Okay, so we've got frayed ends that we're looking at here. And then I got this image of many different, okay, like imagine a rock climber climbing up the holds on the wall, except that rock climber is an alien, you know, like extraterrestrial being, that's you, with many different appendages. I imagine having more than 2 hands and 2 feet would get you up the wall quite quickly and in an incredibly artful fashion. And so this feels like you, Capricorn. And so I drew this image of like all of these hands, which actually, now that I'm looking at them, looks a whole lot like these frayed edges, these frayed ends, all of your hands reaching and reaching and reaching and grabbing onto these holds. And it sort of feels like that expression, like I got my hands in a lot of pies, which I feel like is a very Capricorn type energy. But what's interesting about this image, well, first of all, I wrote, where's your head? Where's your head? Because once I drew this image, I didn't know which end was up. I kept turning it and being like, does the head go here? Does the head go here? Where's the head? Or are you just an accumulation of these hands that are like reaching out and taking care of doing all of these things and like holding yourself against the wall and everybody else against the wall, perhaps? And it just really feels like this energy is incredibly malleable, which is amazing, and like extra talented to be able to do something like this, and also maybe stretched a little bit thin, because I'm imagining like being able to hold all of these things, and then what happens when they all get bigger and they all begin to grow and you get stretched thinner and thinner and further and like you can't quite hold it anymore. There's a question here of like, is this a skill that can be shown and exercised when called for, or is this a lifestyle? And it's a genuine question. You know, it's not, I'm not asking this question in the spirit of like Capricorn, you know, like that's not the energy that I'm approaching this question with. I'm genuinely asking like, is this a way that you, dear mountain goat, can climb that rock in like an incredibly talented, almost extraterrestrial way that only you can do, because there is this like superhuman quality to this. And then in what ways is this more of like a short-term athletic display of ability, Olympic style, that then has to sort of, you know, have rest days? Probably. It's probably that. It's probably the latter. You know, on the bottom of the animal deck here, we have the worker bee, which I'm just cracking up about. So we have this worker, busy bee energy. Yeah, okay, quite literal. And then out of this deck here, I'm gonna try to hold them all up at once. By the way, this is a new deck. I just want to share it with you. It's new to me at this time anyway. It's a deck that I backed on Kickstarter. I'm just gonna show you the info right here. It's called Poesis. And I want to show you too, so that you can go to the website and read the poems associated with the cards. Cool. So here's the cards that are coming out. First, and by the way, these were all stacked right underneath of each other when I split the deck after the shuffle. Give, there's these hands again. Cool, when the imagery is lining up. And then it goes to chaos. Again, like all of these hands sort of pretzeling you into this way of handling chaos that I feel and find is very, very talented. But there's also this question about what it's doing to you to give this much of yourself in all of these different directions. Because then we have struggle and rage. Which I think I want to do this. You see what's happening here? It's like pushing this thing up the mountain, and then when I'm almost seeing it as like pushing this head. Oh, that's funny that I asked, where's your head? You're pushing it up this mountain, and then like I see it as dumping it into the top of the volcano, and then that's when it all explodes. Rage. So like the rage that builds in the struggle is part of what is here. Giving to the chaos is a struggle that is built on rage, interesting, or that builds a struggle in which rage builds up. All right, so it's a lot. And it's not even over, because then I was drawn to find a passage in this book. I turned right to it, and it's so applicable to this whole message. What a cat vibe, by the way. This is Camille Paglia, arts professor, cultural critic, and this is just a collection of essays. And this particular section that I turned to is like an advice column type thing. It says, ask Camille Paglia, advice for the lovelorn, among others. And the writer writes in, I should preface this and say that it has some sexual content. It's very short. Dear Camille, I supplement my unemployment checks by selling phone sex scripts. I'd rather sell short stories, but nobody's buying. I seem to have a knack for cranking this stuff out, but I don't know whether to think of myself as a cheap media whore or a valuable public servant. Nothing gobs up the creative flow more than the image of a fat, lonely, middle-aged insurance salesman lying on his bed and pulling on his weenie while he listens to my words coming over the line. He and a million other schmucks may need the help of a prosthetic imagination. Perhaps I'm helping to release potentially dangerous sexual energy in a quick, tidy gush at the end of the day. Pondering in Portland. When they say, perhaps I'm helping to release potentially dangerous sexual energy, this came to mind. In fact, this combo. And I'm wondering if this has any particular meaning to any of y'all. That just the idea of releasing potentially dangerous sexual energy, or like releasing potent sexual energy. Okay, and this is Camille's response. Dear Pondering, though it might seem like a drainage ditch, you too labor in the vineyards of art. Apollo and Aphrodite bless all makers of erotic images. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Camille. Whew. This is a lot so far, Cap. Let's get into the cards, and I'm going to start by asking, aside from the bee, which I have taken out for you, what animal is Cap showing up as at this time in this reading? Wow. A tiger, I'm just seeing intuitively determined, and I'm thinking of, and this is fire energy here, and I'm thinking about the intensity in this card in terms of the pent-up sexual energy that we were looking at in the previous passage. And I'm wondering what this has to do with rage. Yeah. Okay. Oof, yeah, and especially golden egg on the bottom of the deck, which feels like the thing that you are pushing uphill. It's like and it feels like very much Ace of Pentacles type energy of like wanting the seed of something to grow into its long-term vision. The golden egg, like the golden goose. And it's almost like watching water boil, like just staring at it with rage, like wanting it to pop, wanting it to bust open, wanting it to hatch. Yeah, wow. A lot coming from that tiger energy. Okay, what else for Cap? Okay, that's the Six of Swords, this sort of movement or transition or desire to make a transition from heaviness into lightness, because I keep seeing this as, it's almost as if these swords would float up to the surface, which is shown as this rainbow. Needing to move to calmer seas. Yeah. A lot of intensity here, the Tower. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles. Having to do with work and the investment of your personal energy in terms of like sovereignty, self-sovereignty, and the ways that you build and hold wealth and value, and again, like energetic output, and how the ways that you do that value you in return, and how you value them. This like relationship of what I put my energy into. I'm just seeing this as like accumulating, almost like opening up your pocketbook, you know, like opening up your change purse and looking inside of it and seeing, okay, I'm accumulating resources. I'm accumulating what I need for myself to live and to survive. And then like closing it up and being like, okay, good. Opening it back up periodically and looking inside. Am I still accumulating? Oh, good. All right. Close it back up. Put it away. There's something about that. Yeah, and we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is this chaos. There's it's a chaotic moment, I think, Capricorn. There's there's a lot changing in terms of what you are putting your energy into and how you are putting your energy into it. I feel like you are very likely pulled in a lot of different directions, and it's funny that we have this image here of you being like pulled tight and almost like stretched thin or like stretched taut. And here we have this energy of all of these loose ends, or like loose. Everything is sort of like hanging loosely and nothing is securely fastened. Interesting that too, I'm seeing this as like a change purse, and I see these ends as like fastening, you know, like where you fasten your bank account. Tiger got me all hot. Yeah, because fire energy is here in a very like pent up, building up, explosive type expression. So basically, here's the story. You are in this incredibly chaotic energy of what feels like an uphill battle of trying to get something to hatch. Maybe this is some sort of venture, or maybe this is multiple ventures that you are pushing up frickin' hill. And it is a struggle. And you're trying to essentially, I think, transition the way you earn money. Like, this feels really literal to me, Cap. Like, that you're trying to transition your earnings, or transition, like, if it's not about money, then it's about like what you are devoting your energy to. You're trying to transition that. Oh, I didn't even say that this Mother of Cups is here. I'm going to show you the whole spread actually right now as we're talking, so that you can see what I mean. You are trying to transition this like interesting nest egg. I mean, that's literally what we're looking at in that golden egg card. You're trying to transition the nest egg that you have, or the nest egg that you are struggling to build, into something that much more gently, and I'm saying gently because of the presence of the Mother of Cups, is bringing this energy that I can feel that is like much more calming. With the swan energy is sort of saying, okay, we want to turn this one piece of gold into many pieces of gold in a way that maybe helps to quell this sense of rage that builds up in the struggle. You know, like the swan is here to help calm the bee and tiger energy that you're experiencing, and turn that golden egg into the 9 of coins, into a full pocket. And I think you're just in the chaos of that transition, is how I see the 6 of Swords, Tower, and Wheel of Fortune, is that everything is just a little loosey-goosey right now. Nothing is secured and fastened in a taut, clear way. The web is just slack. The ropes are slack. Okay, interesting. So now we're going back to the rock climber. So if you're climbing and you have ropes and you don't feel held tautly by those ropes, then you are much more likely to struggle as you make your way up the rock, because you are afraid of falling. And so you begin to scramble. This is like very, like chaotically twist yourself into positions to try to hold the wall, because you don't feel like your rope is going to catch you. And I think that's true right now, because whatever this is that you are building, again, is in a moment of intense transition and change, and maybe even upheaval. And maybe there's some elements of destruction here, like certain things are being destroyed in what you are building as you are building it. And so that chaotic moment makes it feel like all of your tethers have slackened. And so here you are sort of like gripping the wall and struggling extra hard because you don't feel like the rope is actually going to hold you. And so there's more struggle here than there usually is. Which is funny because it's like that moment when you feel like you're going to fall and you start panicking and wanting to scramble up the wall faster. And sometimes that can actually be really, really motivating. Again, like I feel really torn between these questions. I don't feel like I can really pick a side about like, yeah, you should stop doing this, or this is just a skill you're really good at, keep going. Because sometimes that extra fire can get you up the mountain in an otherwise uphill battle. And that struggle that when you feel those ropes start to slacken, it can give you the survival instinct that kicks in and helps you go, oh yeah, scramble, 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 and you top out, you know, like scramble, scramble, and I made it to the top, safely. And then sometimes it totally scrambles your brains and you can't think, let alone strategize. And you burn out. You end up expending way more energy than you need to because you're frayed. And that's the moment when you need to be able to lean back on your ropes and shake it out, take a break, look at the puzzle in front of you, re-chalk your hands, breathe. Get some encouragement from the folks that are holding you down below. And then, okay, I'm back at it. Let's try this again. Now that I have a plan, now that I have a strategy. Is any of this resonating, making sense? I hope so. What now? Nine of Pentacles. I'm trying to put food on the table. Yeah. And like not just any food, but like the delicious food that I want to eat and I want to enjoy. Like I want to create a feast for myself and the people that I love. Not just, you know, bare minimum here. Okay, so what do you need to do? How do you hold the wall? When your edges are frayed. Like I'm imagining the ends of a rope sort of frayed, like the rope is coming apart. Ah. Interesting. You let it go, is what I just heard. You have to let some things go, because my question here was, how do you hold the wall when your ends are frayed? I think the answer here is you have to let some things go. So maybe we are getting a little bit of advice here, which is that holding this many things is not necessarily long-term sustainable when you don't have strong ropes holding you. You know, when you don't have a fat nest egg, you know, when you have like a strong system of ropes that are holding you, you can try a feat like this and be like, I don't know, let's just see if I can do it. Because you have a certain amount of security that you know that if you fall, there's something that's going to immediately catch you. You're not going to have that total free fall, destructive moment and experience. But right now, Cap, I don't think your net looks like that. I think your net looks more like this. And if you fall, you're going to feel that fall. I think that's what, at least that's what you think. That's what you feel. That might be true in your life, or that might just be something that you are feeling. And so in that moment, it's like, okay, what can I let go of? What can I let go of so that I don't fall? What do I need to throw on the fire and purge? What has become a burden that I can actually let go of, again, without compromising the ropes that I do have? You know, like you don't want to let go of the rope that's holding you, but you might need to let go of like the hold that one of your many limbs is attached to, so that you can double grab the rope, or so that you can grab something else, so that you can clip in a different way. There's a need to free your energy. Interesting that we've got this like raging bonfire, and we've got this rage card and the struggle. I mean, like, this is the story of the Ten of Wands. Laying down the struggle. Carrying all 10 wands up the mountain for this long ends in you finally putting them down, putting down that struggle and having a bonfire. Having a huge feast over the bonfire. Basically, Cap, it's a question of like, whatever you can let go of at this time, it might be a good idea to let go of it. Like whatever, again, letting go of anything you're committing your energy to that isn't holding you in return, that isn't creating more safety, that isn't putting more money into the bank or more safety and security into your internal experience. The Mother of Cups is offering a redirect. This swan is almost coming through to me as like, what's the name of the folks that signal a plane? You know, like they're on the runway with those glow sticks being like, this way, taxiing the planes around. I think this is just a matter of moving things around so that you are not so strapped. Yeah, this is what you're doing. 5 of Wands energy, total chaotic chaos energy. This is what you're doing, I think. Putting your energy in too many places. And it's like, maybe you don't need to put your energy into certain areas. Any other advice for Cap? Yeah, gosh, this reading's so literal. Cutting off. Okay, I'm getting this. This is kind of cool. It's like a plant that is putting in roots. And then as it's beginning to grow, it's like one of those plants that just sort of like spreads, like what its survival tactic is to like spread like wildfire and see what sticks. And as it begins to take root and grow, it starts to sense the roots that are actually in good soil that are going to hold, and it focuses all of its life force there if it's a smart plant. And if it's going to survive, that's what it does. And any other roots that are not actually fruiting or were laid in soil that can't hold it, I'm seeing this as like the roots disintegrating, or just like, okay, we're gonna let those die. We're gonna cut that tree so those roots die because it's not holding me. And I know this reading is incredibly financial, but I'm also wondering in what other areas of your life it could apply. The Magician on the bottom of the deck, it's just a process of alchemy and experiments. And that's interesting. I've never heard that from this card before, that it's all just experiment. We're just in here experimenting. So it's like, it's okay. It's okay to play, and it's okay to be experimental, and it's okay to be trying new things. Where it gets hairy is when trying new things. Wow, I'm getting the image of like a scientist in their laboratory and they mix certain chemicals and it blows up in their face, and it's like, whew, okay, that was a close call. You know, like, okay, my eyebrows got singed on that one. Let's not do that again. Or if you're in the lab and you're trying to do too many chemicals at once and you're not keeping track of everything, yeah. Four of Swords under that, there's a real quality of protecting your energy and feeding and nurturing the soil that you're actually going to grow in. I'm trying to see how we're going to end this reading. I'm gonna take a moment and sit. I'll be right back. Okay, all I did was grab this picture deck that I have and split it and landed on this. Okay, I guess I'm going in the right direction with these picture cards here. Interesting that it's a keychain. One keychain that is like holding multiple streams. It's like it's such a work smarter, not harder vibe, which is a phrase that as a heavily earth-signed being really I identify with, and also really bothers me when people tell me that, because I'm like, I don't know how to not work hard. Okay, let's keep going with what I was gonna do here. Okay, funny. So basically, there's this little story that is coming out. I'll show you a picture of it. Well, here's this croissant split in half seems to be talking to me about like you split. It's like there's something about there's holes in, okay, there's a lot of messages. One is your energy being split, torn. You feeling torn between maybe multiple areas of your life that you are involved in. And then something also about when you are split in half, you can see the holes. When you're split like this, you can actually start to see the holes. And that's this Wheel of Fortune with the loose strings, loose ends that need tied up, or loose ropes that need, just things need tightened up, Cap. You know, things need tightened up. And when you are split like this, it's an opportunity to better see the holes, okay? And then we have this 8-legged daddy Cap, long legs. That daddy energy for me is this energy of like, I will provide, I serve, I do for you, you know, and like I am very much in control and in charge as I do that. And so that energy is coming through as this daddy long legs. And again, we have many legs, many appendages going in many different directions in order to hold you to the wall. So very funny. And then we have this shadow of you, Capricorn, in this road image that feels like the body being stretched, you being stretched thin is the message that I'm seeing there. And then we have the story of taking out the trash. This is all of these packing boxes that are just piling up outside. That's the 10 of Wands, the bonfire that needs to happen is like, okay, let's burn some of this excess in order to, I'm feeling like properly dispose of our trash. You know, like rather than letting it all accumulate in your life and letting it all pile up, there's something really important about, you know, there's like not really very many environmentally friendly or like responsible ways to dispose of something like this. Maybe one of the more responsible ones is to have a safe, contained fire. If you are in an area that is not unsafe to have fires, right? You live in a very moist climate. It's a nice, you know, it's not a dry day. Okay, great. This is the day to have a safe fire and get rid of some of this stuff that I've been holding and accumulating. And then we end here on the lock, which is, I'm seeing it as this lock that is, I'm just being drawn to all the scrape marks around it and all of the ways that you've tried to get these keys in the door. You know, it's like trying all of these different keys and none of them are fitting and they're all just sort of like scraping the outside of the lock in order to get in. Again, because the key ring is there's too many keys on this ring. You know, like there's too many keys on the ring and it's too bulky and you can't even find the right one that goes in the lock. And so it's this really frustrating experience of this one doesn't work and this one doesn't work and this one doesn't work. And then again, I'm being brought back to the Magician to remind you like, hey, it's all experimenting. It's all alchemy. It's all chemistry. It's all just getting it wrong so many times until you finally get it right, you know? It's like how many times, I'm like imagining a mathematician just like getting all the way to the end of a proof and there's one number that was off somewhere along the way and it didn't work. You have to erase and start over. And you know, this experience, and then one day the proof works and they've cracked their theorem or whatever that is. You know, they've solved, back to rock climbing, solved the problem. But they had to sort of, I'm imagining a really junked up whiteboard that is filled with the residue. Man, are you still with me this reading? Filled with the residue of previous erasures. And it's all just hanging out and building up these, oh wow, building up these layers and layers and layers of wiped chalk that never really fully wiped away. It's okay, there's people that hunt around where I live. But thanks for the emphasis. So this is looking to me, the layers of chalk residue that never fully got washed away is appearing to me in this way. And this is what needs fully wiped. Wiping the slate clean. Clearing out that key ring will help you find the one that fits. Or the few that fit, if I know you. Okay, Capricorn. Whew. These lights are hot. I gotta crack a window and get some water. Thanks for being here in this reading with me. This went really, really deep and wild, and I hope that it was resonant and helpful for you whenever it finds you. Much love, Cap.